What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back here with some more Resident Evil gameplay for you. And today I'm going to be talking about the latest interview from the director and producer of Resident Evil Requiem themselves. So they talk a lot of important details that can kind of confirm a lot of things we speculated in the past for, but we now get confirmations about it. So without further ado, let's get right into this. So basically, they confirm that Grace and Leon are the only two playable characters in the game. So there's not going to be like a third playable character. They are the two playable characters in the game. And that you might see other characters in the game, but Grace and Leon are two playable characters. And I don't have a problem with that because I know some people might say, hey, I want another character to have maybe a short playable section. I've never been a fan of short playable sections and stuff. Like, for instance, Resident Evil 2, I've never been a fan of the Sherry segments or even the Ada segments. Because it's so short. It's just like, there's barely any time. Like, the only time it takes long is the first time you do it, but it just kind of takes you in and out of the moment. So if you're going to give me another playable section, it'll give me a decent amount of time. But if you do that, then you take more time from the other major characters. So I just feel like maybe you're cutting it with 3. And, amazing enough, they were able to separate it to 4 in Resident Evil 6. But to me, I don't personally have a problem with that. I just don't want you be playing as one character and then you play as another character. And then for a short segment, you play as some other person. I'm fine with 2. I don't have a problem with that personally. They also say that Grace's playstyle is more like Resident Evil 2 Remake, where Leon's is based in Resident Evil 4 Remake. Obviously, Leon in Resident Evil 2 Remake wasn't doing the combination attacks. He was kind of, the rookie cop. In Resident Evil 4, he obviously was. So it makes sense for Grace to not be doing that at first sight, and then Leon to be the one doing that, because obviously he's the experienced vet. So I don't have a problem with that. They go to talk about how one of the big factors with Leon is they're wondering what Leon's mindset would be in the year 2026. And, it's interesting to think about what he'd be like. I kind of feel like he'd probably feel like, I want a vacation. I want this stuff to end and stuff. So maybe he's finally gotten tired of it. The only problem I have with that is we kind of already seen that side of him, unfortunately, in a CGI movie. So it kind of beat it to the punch. Not saying it can't be done well, but we can imagine and speculate. I'm not saying it can't be done good, but, I would assume he's kind of tired of this stuff and maybe he's looking for a way out. Maybe he's just sick and tired of seeing the same stuff repeated and it's getting worse and worse as the years go along. But that's just my speculation on my part. They also say that his combat technique has constantly evolved from the games and that, he's going to show elements of all his games from Resident Evil 2 Remake all the way to Resident Evil 6. And that's to be expected. And how the game progresses is that the game is basically very similar to Revelations. You'll do some stuff as Leon, you swap over to Grace, and Leon and Grace. And I don't personally have a problem with that, but what's interesting is they talk about how, like, when you play as Grace and then you go to Leon and back and forth, it's going to be like going from hot to cold, with Grace's segments being the more horror-based and Leon's being the more action-based. And there's a lot I can say with that, and it could be good, but it's something I'll only know until I play it, because I'm wondering how well they're going to do that, because that can actually make and break a game if you think about it. Because how many times have you played any game in the past and you're playing as something you like and then they swap control to something else and you're like really into that and like, dude, I want to keep continuing playing as that. So I hope they know how to do it well. They also say that they balance it well so that both people have equal amount of time. So that puts to bed a lot of people thinking that Leon's playthrough is going to be similar to like Chris's in Resident Evil Village or something. He's getting at least half the game, so he's not just like a character that you play as. He's one of the main playable characters, so he's getting half the game alongside of Grace. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but that's not the video to talk about. But that is what they basically confirm. But yeah, it's very interesting. They also point out that Leon is at his strongest point in this game. I mean, they're not going to have him look weak and shit like he's like Old Snake in Metal Gear Solid 4. But Grace is the biggest scaredy cat in Resident Evil history. And once again, I don't know how the actual audience is going to take to that, because I see a lot of people already saying certain things. And as I said, this ain't the video to go through with that. I mean, if it's executed well, it could be good. But I'm wondering if that's going to be a double-edged sword, but only time will tell. You also go on to the whole fact that they talk about Elpis. Now, Elpis, as I said before, is something that we don't know very much about. We've got a few breadcrumbs, but it's something that, depending how you view it, could be hope or it could be terrible tragedy. And it's something that's tied into the game. It's something that Victor has mentioned. Grace is the key to it, but also that Leon has a secret with it. And it's something that also is related to Grace's mother, Alyssa's death. And so what this secret must be, and we're going to discover playing it, who knows? Could it have to do with his infection? Could it have something to do with maybe he knows something that he's been forced to hide? Because he obviously knows a lot of things about the government. Maybe he couldn't reveal to the public that he's been forced to live with. And who knows how long he's known about it. We don't know. Only time will tell. But Leon does have a secret. Well, let's hope it's not a secret that's going to damn him in any way. But only time will tell about that. They also talk about how Leon is going back to Raccoon City for the first time and that they wanted to make him have different sequences with combat as well as, have that kind of still same sarcasm and wit, but also being more acute with his age because obviously, you do have to grow up eventually. So it'll be interesting to see how he's portrayed and stuff and also how Grace views him because I asked that in an earlier video. How does Grace view him? Does he see him as the legendary hero or does he see him as just this older man cracking these really out of place jokes and all and stuff like that? So it'll be interesting to see their interactions, and they will have a bunch of interactions as they confirmed in this interview. So it's interesting to see how both of them will play off of each other. Now the weirdest part is, and this is something I want them to confirm, they talk about it, they confirm it, but I don't know how they mean it. I don't mean they think of it in cutscenes or you're actually driving it, but they talk about Leon in a vehicle he drives in a game, and that basically, and they even joke that its fate is unknown, so I guess even they get the joke of Leon and driving vehicles is not a marriage made in heaven. But they make it seem like, this vehicle was customized for the game, and that you're actually going to be driving it, not just watching it in cutscenes, which adds a whole new perspective altogether, and I'm wondering how that's going to work. Let's say for argument's sake, that's what they meant. You drive it in a game. How's that going to work? Is it going to have like something where like you drive and you can actually run over enemies with it? Or is this something to get from point A to point B? Meaning that some of the areas in this thing, I assume they're talking about the Raccoon City elements since that's a bigger area, but who knows? I'm only speculating. So I'm interested to see what they mean with here. And I like how they say its fate is unknown. I'm almost speculating, will this vehicle actually survive? We keep talking about, is Leon going to survive? No, is the vehicle going to survive? That's almost 100% fatality right there. But, keep all vehicles and licenses away from Leon. But all joking aside, I think the biggest thing from this interview that I got from is the fact that these campaigns are going to be split just about as evenly as possible, with Leon's being the more action-based, similar to Resident Evil 4 Remake, and Grace's being the more horror-based, based on Resident Evil 2 Remake. So I'll ask you guys a question. Do you think that was the right call? Not in terms of, who's in the campaigns, but the fact that they split them up 50-50 and the fact that they're so different according to what they say. Is that a good thing? Can it be a good thing? Or is that something that could be possibly a recipe of disaster? Because I can see it working and I also see it not working because I do have my fears and trepidations with that, but I want to talk about that in another video. I don't personally have a problem with being 50-50. I think that's the right call. If you really want to execute two characters, fine. Because I wasn't a big fan of having, 3 or 4 or 5 or just too many individuals, because then you're just separating the load way too much. I mean, not unless you're going to say it's a really, really, really long game, and traditionally you don't want survival horror games to be too long. But nonetheless, I don't have a problem with anything the interview said. I think it's interesting. But I do have a lot of things that could possibly become bad things in general. But that's my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. Do you like what you're hearing? Are you interested to see how they do the hot and cold, horror and action and horror dynamic? Do you like the fact it's separated 50-50? Or is there something that you have a problem with, which will lead me up to my next video and where I talk about my fears of it? Let me know down in the comment section down below. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully I see you guys back in next one. And hopefully maybe once one of Leon's vehicles can survive to the end of the game. One can hope. One can hope. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.